If you did not have time, on the back of your show bill, we have all of our award sponsors. Please read through those award sponsors. So our sponsor of the day, once again, is Austin Tiernan, State Farm, Indiana State Farm Bureau Insurance Agent. Please visit him outside. He might have some popcorn for you. So, once again, a reminder that destinations are due today by 4:30. Check out the list over by the door. If there is an issue, please see Effie in the office. 4:30 today. We will begin showmanship shortly. We have 2 heats of the senior dairy feeder and steer showmanship contest. Bridget Dunn, Kendall Kresher, Paige Kresher, Graydon Pepple.
Well, as we get started into our senior showmanship division, I always appreciate when shows start with our oldest exhibitors to set a good example for those coming up behind them there. That was certainly a way I always learned and studied as I was showing. And as we went along, we watched the older exhibitors of what they were doing, for those who won, what were they doing and how can I make it better and how can I put my own spin on it? For me, the two that do the most right out here for me, and I won't get into that since we have another heat coming in, will be the two in the center of the ring out here. We'll see them back for our championship out of our senior division. Let's give them another round of applause. Well done.
We will now bring in our second heat for senior dairy feeders, Emily McLean, Natalie Dunn, Brock McCartney, and Leah Kresher.
Right, so showmanship, really what we're looking for is how well do you show your animal? And that is a really big thing to say, and what that's going to come down to is, can you set your animal up accurately, meaning square on all four corners? Can you do it efficiently? Some will say quickly, but sometimes when you're quick, maybe you're a little sloppy and not smooth, and it might scare your calf. And so it's all about being efficient with how you set them up. Next is to make sure that you're paying attention to the judge, so that if the judge wants to communicate with you of some sort, that you're paying attention so that you know exactly what that judge wants, and then paying attention to directions. So if they tell you to do something and you do it incorrectly, that'll probably go against you. Also, it includes making sure that we have good etiquette in the show ring. So making sure that we leave people enough space so the judge can see everybody's calf.
Well, here in our second heat of senior
pull
showman,
them
let's
back
give these
here.
kids a well-deserved round of applause. I'm going to be pickier in showmanship even than I was in our confirmation class. I take showmanship more seriously than even the regular show out here because it's beyond the animal that you have on the halter. You don't need a winning animal to win showmanship under me, and I don't think you should with any judge. It really is how you get that animal presented and how you complement the lines of that animal. We'll talk more about what I'm looking for in our next division out here. You'll learn that I tend to operate very lean in my drives with showmanship. I don't see the need to have a big drive unless I need to have quite a few down the line in our selections out here. I really want to pick the best of the best. So for me out here in this lineup, the young lady in the center of the ring is going to come back, and we'll see her in the championship. Let's give them all a hand.
Congratulations, Leah Crusher. She will come back for the overall senior showman. And just like the judge said, you don't have to have a winning animal. What it really takes is, can you set your animal up to the best of its ability? Can you maybe hide some faults? So maybe if they hock in or you've got a structural issue, can you kind of hide that a little bit with all the other cattle out there and emphasize its good points? So what we'll do is we'll select a senior champion here, and this senior champion will then go into the premier competition at the end of this show, who would then compete on Friday night for the Show of Showmen contest. And we are graced with the presence today, I've seen him around, of our first ever, I want to say it was 92 or 93, Show of Showmen champion, Bruce Berryhill, wherever he's at. He was the first one ever that we did for DeKalb County. And what's funny is a lot of these Show of Showmen contest winners now have kids and are exhibiting. And it's really funny. I grew up with a lot of them. I got to compete in the Show of Showmen contest, never won it. But it's funny seeing all of us with kids now interacting and how we thought our parents acted with us, and it's pretty funny. My boys are 5, so I've still got a few years till they show, and I'm just taking pointers from all those parents I know on not getting upset with your children when you show them at home exactly what to do, and they do it exactly right at home.
Senior showman out here in your showmanship drive. Seniors, you have a bigger job than maybe you even realize out here. You're not only trying to do well for yourself, but you're also trying to set the example for those coming up underneath of you. That's really the awesome responsibility that you now take on, whether you realize it or not. As a senior showman, your job is to give a good example, not just in the ring, in the barn, back at the wash rack, at home, to those younger exhibitors, because they are looking up to you. I promise you, small eyes are always watching you, because at some point, they want to be you. And so I think you're all doing a very nice job about that. Let's talk about some of the things I think we should be doing at our senior showmanship level. And regardless whether you're a beginner showman, an intermediate, senior, premier, whatever it is, when I coach kids, coach my brother, whatever it may be, I still look at those senior showmen and I expect him to be at that level, even when he's a junior. We really want to make sure that we're pushing the boundaries of showmanship, because at some point we're starting to see a cultural shift in our show ring out in our show rings. More and more beef shows are welcoming dairy beef into the fold and into those shows. They're learning that it's profitable for them to do so. They're recognizing that there's a lot of demand out there and a lot of supply of these cattle and these showmen that are hungry to get out there and show. So they're doing that. Now let's make sure that you can go out there and compete with those black cattle. And that from a showmanship perspective, you absolutely can if we really work hard at it. From a showmanship perspective out here, we really want to make sure that, A, we have the right equipment and the right tools. We have the show stick that's the right length for the animal that we're working with. There's a lot of debate about what's the right length of show stick for a showman. We've always prescribed to the rule of when the show stick's on the ground, the top of the show stick should be at the top of the ear of the showman. That's usually a really good indicator, regardless whether you have a feeder or a market steer. That's usually a good rule of thumb to go off of. As we hold the show stick, you can tell this is something that a lot of showmen do, and it just is a little cringy for me, is we tend to be very big. And this usually is as you get younger, they tend to be very big, take big steps, they hold the show stick out really wide. We look like we're in a marching band. That's not what we're here to do. Your job as a showman is to not distract from your animal. I don't care what species you're showing. You are here to be subtle. You are here to blend into the background, to fade into the background. The best showmen in the country fade into the background because their animal is always set exactly how it needs to be. The showman is not a distraction for it. When we hold the show stick, again, we're not holding it out like we're in marching band. We're also not holding it up like a flagpole, so all I see is a flagpole walking around the ring. You hold it down, the thumb is at the base of the rubber handle. That's all we need. And there's a slight bend in the elbow. This is all we need to have. We don't need to have it way up there. So again, trying to not be a distraction. As we get our animal set, I've never understood this as a showman, but why on earth would we walk forward, stop, then turn, then look at how our animal looks? Your job is to make that animal look his best at all times. So when we're stopping, I need to know how he's going to look. I need him to walk into his set. So I'm going to turn. If I need to stop up there, I'm going to turn and take 3 steps, watch my animal, how he's getting stopped, and stick him where he needs to be. That way he always looks good. I know we're starting to get a little crowded up here. We got calves that want to move, want to dance. They've been in the ring a lot, so maybe they're a little tired of it. But let's just take this as an example. This is a learning opportunity right here. Look at how your cattle are set. They're staggered. Anything that is closer to me is going to look bigger than anything that is further away from me. And so right now, I'm just going to use the young man's calf as an example here. Right now, he looks really big-hipped and really weak-shouldered. You want to keep him straight, square in line, so that I can see him proportional. But you can also use that to your advantage. If you've got a weak-shouldered one, point the shoulder out ever so slightly. It'll make it look bigger. If you've got a really big-hipped one and you need to conceal that to kind of make it look better, bring the hip in a little bit. But right now, they're so staggered, all I see is rear. We want to make sure that we're giving our cattle the best, absolute best look. When we're walking with them, we want to really walk in line with them. It shouldn't be a drag, it shouldn't be a pull, because your animal needs to drive forward, and we need to give him his best look at all times. And senior showmen, we hear a lot of judges say you should have polish and subtlety and all of that. You know, what does that mean? For me, I translate polish as subtlety of movement and grace and fluidity. Do everything to a 1, 2, 3 beat. That's how we've always trained our showmen. As if I need to stop up there, I'm going to take 3 steps, back him up. 1, 2, 3, stop. The animal should be in his set. I should be in my stance. When we're scratching and using the show stick, it is a tool. If you've got a calf that's got a high tail head, tuck it. If you've got a calf that needs his loin brought down, bring it down. It's a tool, but do it gracefully. And when you do start to scratch the brisket, it's just a 1, 2, 3 scratch. 1, 2, 3 scratch. Do everything to that time, because if you're over there sawing your poor calf in half, it makes you look very nervous. And we don't want that. So, what do we like out here in showmanship? We like that subtle showman that kind of fades into the background, that's so conscientious of their animal to make sure they are set consistently, accurately to their skeletal design. They do everything smoothly and gracefully. They're very intentional about how they get around the ring. They watch for the dips and the hills in the ring to make sure they don't get planted into a hole so that their animal looks bad. You're here to make a livestock look its best, whether you have a winning one or not. And so that's what we're out here to do. That being said, I think there's a showman out here that's done that most consistently in terms of the type and kind that we're looking for, has been the most deliberate, has had the most cooperative animal, and that to me says that there's been a lot of miles put in at home. That cattle don't just do this. This isn't something that they're naturally innate to, and anybody who breaks cattle can certainly attest to that. So that being said, I'll go out here and get you your champion. We'll see him in the Premier Showmanship Division. Let's give these 3 showmen a well-deserved round of applause on a job well done.
Your senior dairy feeder and steer showmanship winner, Graydon Pepple. Second runner-up, Leah Crusher.
So I hope everybody paid attention to there, and if you know somebody in another species, please have them go back and listen to the clinic that Tyler just gave, because you can't say it any better, of exactly everything he just talked about. Right now, he's going through, talking with each showman on what to improve on. And this is why Tyler is such a sought-after job, is he makes sure every exhibitor understands the expectation and how to get better and how to improve and make it personal. And so absolute clinic there. If you've got a showman that's outside the ring that's getting ready to show, please tell them everything he just said, because you will go
All
a
right,
long
we
way
will
if
have
you do.
3 classes of intermediate showmen. Rylan Weinbrenner, Finn Lance, Bay Lance, and Burke Lance.
Let's have a hand for our first class of intermediate showmen out here. If you can't learn at a county fair, I don't know where you can learn. Maybe at state when we have, or national shows when I've got 400 kids to sort through. I can't spend that kind of time with them. But out here, I think they rightfully deserve some time with me that I can spare of just little things I think they can continue to work on as they go along their journey, just to make them even better showmen than where they're at today. For me, the young lady out here in the center of the ring is going to come back for our overall championship. I think she does the most right, noting what I spoke about in our senior division out there and kind of what I expect even at this intermediate level. We'll see her back here. Let's give them a well-deserved round of applause.
Congratulations, Rylan Weinbrenner. So we're going to do 3 heats of the intermediate and then bring them all back in, and we will select a champion and reserve champion. We don't have the room in the ring to have 14 of them at once, so we split them up into what we call heats. Then we'll bring the champions back out.
We will now bring our second class of intermediate dairy feeder steer showmen into the arena. Kellen Carnahan, Owen Brown, McKenna May, Kaylee Ann Garton, and Claire Swigert.
And so it's up to the judge's discretion on how many in each heat he wants to bring back for the champion reserve. He's going to select those that he thinks are worthy to be able to bring back for that champion and reserve champion. We'll see how many kids paid attention to his masterful explanation of what his expectations are in showmanship and see how many execute that. Rylan did a fantastic job in that last class, did everything to a T on what he expected, which tells me she listened, and that's fantastic. Anytime a judge is going to tell you exactly what they want from a showmanship standpoint, your ears should perk up and you should listen, because every judge is different, and that's what makes showmanship somewhat difficult, is it's very subjective to that person. I'll tell you with Tyler, he's probably the most objective in the sense of he kind of tells you what he wants, but he doesn't want anything crazy. He wants what a lot of other judges want, smooth, in time, and for things to look the way they should. In this class, one of our livestock judging students again, Claire Swigert, coming out here doing her best. Last year was her first year in 4-H, and talking with her before the show, she learned a lot from last year. She does not come from an ag background at all, and so she really took it to heart what the judge said last year and is doing a much better job, and I would say working with their family, they are much happier as well. That first year as a 4-H'er is very stressful if you've never been in it, and by that I mean there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot that's got to go on, there's a lot of communication, and this year you could tell, hey, we know what we're doing now, and I encourage anybody who wants to get into 4-H, has never done it, to talk to a family who's been in 4-H to kind of learn the ins and outs and the do's and don'ts and how to be prepared and to make it the least stressful time. But it is a great program. I grew up in it. My 2 5-year-old boys will grow up in it, and hopefully for many more generations to come.
Well, I appreciate the time that I'm being given out here. I told you I operate my divisions and my drives very lean because I hold all showmen to a very high standard out here, and it's not just enough to be what are you compared to as what you're against out here. Really, in my mind, it's we have things, there are fundamentals we need to do right as showmen, and how we get these animals presented, the hunger in our eyes, the intentionality of how we do it, all the things that I spoke about in our senior division up there in our championship drive. And it is something that I don't do lightly, but I don't think we're there yet in this particular class. For me, there's just, as we evaluate each of these individuals out here, there's just too much for me, the little tweaks and things that we need to work on. So I'm going to work with each of you for a minute, and I'm paying you that respect. I would hate to ever artificially inflate what you think you're doing right when for me, we're not there yet. So I'm going to work with each of you on little things that I think you need to improve upon to get to that state. It does mean something to be a champion under me. I mean that very sincerely, and so for me, I just don't think we're there yet. We're going to have a single entry in our intermediate drive, and I'll go ahead and get out there. We'll talk about what she did right. So that being said, let's give these exhibitors a very well-deserved round of applause. I'll go work with each of you.
Once again, we would like to thank our sponsor of the day, Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Austin Tiernan. He is out front. Go visit his booth. I think he's got some popcorn and a couple giveaways. So please go support Austin. Also, a quick reminder on destinations. Parents, please look those over. Make sure they are correct. They need changed by 4:30 today. If there are any changes to be made, please see Effie in the 4-H office.
All right, one more time. Let's give these young people a well-deserved round of applause. And I will tell you this, the judges that I did not win under ended up being my favorite judges because they challenged me to be better, and I can promise you I never made that mistake again. And I was a better showman for it, I was a better person for it, and I challenge all of you to take those little things we worked on because you all have the foundation. We just really need to add in those things we talked about, okay? So practice that at home. And I promise you, talk to mom and dad right away because it'll leave your mind if you don't talk to mom and dad right away about what we spoke about so that they can also help you and encourage you because that's exactly what they're here to do. Well done. Let's give them another hand on a job well done. Well, join me in congratulating this young lady out here in your intermediate drive who will be your champion intermediate showman. And some people might in the audience say, well, why on earth is he having her come out? She's the only one out there. Of course she's going to be. You've earned it. You've earned your time in the ring and your time to shine, young lady, because you have put in the work and you are doing a lot of things right. And I want to talk about what you are doing right. I love your intensity. And what I mean by that is that you are very locked on to me. And when you had a bunch of calves in your class, you didn't lose me. You didn't lose the calf in front or behind you. You knew what was important, and you stayed focused. Oftentimes in our younger showmen, sometimes when we hear the word intensity, we think mean face. And I see a lot of kids scowling at me and things like that. It's like, no, that's not what we mean. I mean the confidence in your eyes, the fire in your belly. You can see it, you can feel it, you can read it on your face, how intentional you are. You've set this calf consistently every single time you've been in the ring, not just in showmanship, but also in the conformation show, and it's accurate to his skeleton. And that is what we're out here to do. You're here to make this animal look his best. The shoulders, the feet are directly hung underneath the shoulders correctly. You have chosen to offset him, perfectly fine by me. There's some debate out there, right, among judges of do you set him square, do you offset him? I don't care. I care about do you do it correctly to what that calf needs. If you've got a squarely made calf, really square out of his hip, he can get away with being set square. But if you've got one that tends to round out a little bit out of the hip, or maybe he's not as long-bodied as you'd like him, you offset him, because that elongates the calf, it levels his hip. So it's entirely up to you. I will not fault you either way with how you choose to set your calf, but it better be accurate to his skeleton, and it better be consistent. And young lady, you have done that. You are poised, very clean. Your lines complement the angles of your animal. Job very well done. You have earned this. Let's give her a well-deserved round of applause.
Rylan Weinbrenner. We will now bring in the junior dairy feeder and steer showmanship. Paisley Hepler. Caden Brown. Eli Patty. And Hazen Foster.
So there was a lot to learn in those last two classes of intermediate showmen there, and it's up to the judge's discretion, and he only chose a champion and no reserve, and that's perfectly fine because didn't meet the standards of a reserve. There was a lot of things that a lot of the showmen needed to work on, and what's great is he went through and made sure each showman knew exactly what he wanted from them, and then made them show him so that he got confirmation that you now understand. And so hopefully all of these showmen remember this for their next show, whether it's next summer, next spring, fall, or right back here, and they institute that, because everything he asked them to do is very basic 101 in showmanship, and it would work under any judge. So now we've got two heats of beginners. This is heat one. We could see a winner really rise to the top pretty quickly. Beginner showmanship, anytime I evaluate a show, is my favorite, because a lot of times this is their first time or very few times in the ring, and so we could really set a really good foundation on showmanship skills as a judge to get them going in the right direction. And also, funny things happen with the beginners, and it's just funny and hilarious. But after heat one, we'll do heat two of juniors, then we will select our premier showman. And after that, we will do my absolute favorite thing of any livestock competition, and that is Pee-wee showmanship, where kids who maybe don't have a project, aren't of age yet to compete in 4-H, come out and give it a try on an animal. And hopefully my boys are well enough behaved on Thursday night for the goat show, they can stick around and show a goat. But as we all know, young kids, well, we'll see how it works out.
All right, let's celebrate our first class of junior showmen out here. I would be remiss if I didn't work with our junior showmen on just little things. They're working on getting the mechanics of what they need to do out here, how they need to get around the ring, how they need to stand with their animal, transition their show stick from that halter and back and forth. And just for me, again, the young man out here does the most right in this particular lineup for me in terms of the type and style and kind that I'm looking for in our showmen. These young exhibitors out here have a very bright future ahead of them. Keep working on what we talked about. Have mom and dad video you at home so you can practice that over and over again and you can see yourself. And that is one of the greatest teaching tools ever, is just video is great for that. So again, I challenge all of you to keep at it, keep working. You have very bright futures. Let's give this young man a hand. We'll see him back in the championship.
We will now bring in our second heat of junior dairy feeder and steer showmen. Audrey Malcolm, Mariah Hartman, and that's it.
I want everyone in the audience to give Audrey and Mariah a well-deserved round of applause for a few reasons. They were the two that had the courage to come out here. Maybe the show wasn't going how other showmen wanted, and so they didn't want to play the game. The two of you said, the heck with that, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to come out here, and I'm going to play the game and give it my best. You didn't scratch. You didn't quit. You kept going. That's the heart of a champion right there. And the other showmen don't know it, but what they did by scratching gave me more time privately with each of you. And so now you have more tips and tricks than I ever could have given you if it was the whole lineup. So you both still won. That being said, I think you are both very well on your way of understanding the mechanics of what we need to do out here. You're building your confidence, and that's exactly what we're out here to do. I want you to go home, have mom and dad video you practicing your posture, practicing the set of your animal so that you know how he looks his best, so that you can practice that stance every time, and you can practice that set on your animal every time, so that when you get out here, you are so practiced. This is a walk in the park, and you're just here to show me how well you've practiced. That's what this is about. So I want mom and dad to go home and videotape you, okay, so you can keep working and keep growing. You are both very good showmen for your age. I challenge you to keep working, keep getting better, and you will. And never, ever quit. Always show up, and you both have. Because of that, you are both going to be in our championship drive. Well done, young ladies. Great job. We'll see you back.
We will bring in Hazen Foster and pick our winner, champion, and reserve for the Junior Dairy Feeder Steer Showmanship.
You know, there's a beauty about being the judge. You can do whatever you want. And since I had a spare banner, I'm going to do my top 3 overall out here. So that being said, let's give a well-deserved round of applause to our junior showman out here. And I think the rule of this particular lineup is it pays to show up. That being said, I think there's a showman out here that has done a very nice job, not just in their individual class out here in showmanship, but also throughout the show ring as well. Every time, and this is a lesson, every time you are privileged, and I mean privileged, to be in the arena is showmanship. Whether it's the confirmation show or not, it is on. And I promise you, anytime I have the privilege and honor of judging the entire show, I am taking your collective performance, not just how you do out in showmanship, but how you've done in the show the whole time. So with that being said, I think there's a showman out here that's a little bit more further along in terms of understanding the mechanics, putting some polish and their own authentic spin on it. Right now you are trying to learn the mechanics of what to do, how to get around the ring, how to set an animal, how to transfer that show stick from that halter. Once you're past that and you're in your intermediate phase, I want you to start to identify who you are and do it on purpose and have your own style of showmanship. Don't feel like you have to copy someone because they win. I promise you, I've judged plenty of shows where they all try to copy the winner, and it does not look good because it's not authentic to who they are, and you can tell. So I want you to really keep practicing, keep focusing on doing your best, and you as a person will come out in that style. And then I want you to do that style on purpose every time. That will read the most authentic in the ring, and authenticity, along with poise, correctness, and accuracy, wins every time. No one has ever won showmanship by fitting into the crowd. I promise you that. So, that being said, I'll go out in order, selecting our champion through our 3rd overall showman out here. Let's give him a very well-deserved round of applause.
Your junior dairy feeder champion showman, Hazen Foster. Your 2nd place, Mariah Hartman. And 3rd, Audrey Malcolm. We will now bring in our premier dairy feeder and steer showmanship contestants. Kirsten Haynes. And Graydon Pepple.
All right. So as the judge said in the last class, he's the judge. Like an auction, the auctioneer drops the gavel. It's the final word. And so we had a champion, reserve champion, and a 3rd overall beginner champion. Right now we've got the premier showman. And so what that means is Graydon Pepple won our senior showman. That qualifies him for the premier showmanship competition for the dairy feeder and steer competition. And between these two, one of them will be selected to be able to compete in Friday night's Show of Showman competition. Then whoever is selected on Friday night for the Show of Showman competition will compete in an area showmanship competition on Saturday, where we invite several neighboring counties to come and compete. And a lot of those people have already had their fair competed, and since we are one of the last fairs of the calendar year, they will send their Show of Showman winners here to compete for an overall. That usually includes a couple counties from Ohio. I know Noble County, Whitley County, LaGrange County, Steuben County, obviously DeKalb County, and a few others that I can't remember off the top of my head, but pretty awesome competition. That'll be Saturday. Our county Show of Showman competition will be on Friday night. If you've never seen it, highly suggest you watch it, especially if you have 4-Hers who are interested in showing, because it's the best of each breed or species that has been selected. And they can really learn a lot from that.
Well, let's celebrate our premier showman out here. And just so you know, when I was a junior, 1st or 2nd time showing, or pre-3rd, or whatever we want to call it, my calf sat down in the ring. And so I never hold that against someone. But I learned what would fix that or give me a much better chance of that is I needed to work him longer than 15, 20 minutes at a time. I really needed to work him 45 minutes at a time. And I know that's a lot of time commitment, especially when we have several calves, several projects, sports. I know it's a lot. But building that endurance in these cattle so they don't tire out, as well as being cooperative, is certainly an advantage out there. So I challenged the showman for that. It helped me. It worked for me when I had that issue, and I never had that issue again when I started working them for longer periods of time. That being said, in no particular order, just kind of speaking about what these showmen do well. Young lady, I see it in you. I see why you've made it up to this point. You have a natural stock show ability about you. The way that you carry yourself and compose yourself, even though you've got a dance partner out here that is not cooperating, to say the least, I can see it in you. I can see the poise. I can see the intentionality. When we were in our confirmation show, you had him set very consistently and accurately to his skeletal design. He is unruly out here in this particular lineup, but I see it in you, and I understand why you're out here. Young man, you've had an advantage out here in terms of how your animal's working with you. He's wanted to lay down a bit, but you've handled it well. You're very intentional about getting this animal stuck correctly within his line of his skeletal makeup. You leverage the show stick not just as a means to set the feet, but also how to tuck a tail, set the back, and use it on the brisket as well. Again, I appreciate that use of stick and how you get around the ring and get this animal set. That being said, I'll get you my favorites out here and how they sort out in this particular lineup. This individual, as I understand it, will represent in other your round robin or premier showmanship later on in the week. And at the end of the day, that takes a lot of mental stamina. It's exhausting if you haven't been in it. But my advice to you as someone who's been in that and had the privilege to do well in it, not too long ago, is that every time before you go into the next species, take a deep breath, reset, and have the confidence and the intentionality that you have out here in your home species in those. It is a numbers game, it is a mental game, and if you can really hone that in, evaluate each animal, keep it subtle in every species, whether you're on the whip, you're bracing, or you're on the halter, keep it subtle, keep it smooth, keep it graceful. You'll do well. That being said, I'll get you your champion and your reserve out here. Let's give him another well-deserved round of applause. I believe that concludes our show after this. So, oh, we have our peewees, absolutely. Don't want to discredit that, but I want to give a well-deserved round of applause for our sponsors who have made this show possible. Please, let's celebrate them. Without their generosity and support, we wouldn't have a program out here to reward these kids and celebrate them in the way that we do. I want to thank the show committee for having me out here all the tireless hours. I know what that's like. I've been on that side. I still am on that side. It's a thankless job. Please, let's thank our show committee and all those who have helped make this show possible. And I want to thank DeKalb County for having me out here today. We'll sort our peewees, of course. I'm looking forward to that. That's the most fun of the whole show, but I'll get you your premier showman. Let's give these two another well-deserved round of applause.
Your premier dairy feeder and steer showman goes to Graydon Pepple and reserve Kirsten Haynes. We have Wyatt Ridge, Magnolia May, Levi Malcolm, Rachel Scoville, and Remy Anderson.
Well, we may have lost some of the crowd, but I expect this to be the loudest applause of the day. Please, let's celebrate our pre-third showman. This is the future of the project, the passion that it can teach you, the empathy it can teach you. It will teach you to care about something greater than yourself. And in this world, we need that desperately. Leaders, future generations coming up that know how to care about something beyond themselves. And each of you have that love and passion. And I see it in your eyes. I feel it when I'm speaking to you. Job well done. Parents, families, friends, keep continuing to encourage them. We want to see them back here again, and they're going to do wonderful things. These are the showmen of tomorrow. Let's give them another well-deserved round of applause.
Please give a round of applause for our judge today, Tyler Marker. He did a phenomenal job. And thank you for attending the 2025 DeKalb County 4-H Dairy Feeder and Steer Show. We will see you tonight at 4 o'clock for the beef.